Trapped Games, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. The Resident Evil trilogy, if you will. I'm of course referring to the original PlayStation 1 versions of these games, with their tank controls, intentionally cheesy voice acting.
What is that?
I'll go and check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
And cutscenes that often border on comical. Because yes, all three of these games have been remade. 2 and 3 far more recently than 1, but still. And while those remakes are amazing in their own right, and some would say even superior to the originals, I would argue that they weren't really trying to replace the originals. So I think we are long past due getting a Resident Evil Legacy Collection, which would of course have Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and even possibly some of their variations, as on the PlayStation the first Resident Evil had its original version, the Director's Cut, and then Director's Cut DualShock version, all three of which had minor differences between little aspects of difficulty and gameplay, in addition to much larger differences of course, and this could be taken even further with the Sega Saturn and Nintendo DS versions. Now 2 and 3 both had far less versions than the original, but they still did have alternate versions that exist that have differences between them. Of course, if Capcom were to actually make a Resident Evil Legacy Collection, it's a safe bet they would have the basic versions of all three games, hopefully choosing to go for the DualShock versions of 1 and 2. At the moment, I think we're in a likely position to receive a Resident Evil Legacy Collection or something similar, as very recently, Capcom released Dino Crisis 1 and 2 on Steam. Not remakes, but ports of the original PlayStation games, in all of their tank-controlling, cheesy dialogue glory. Now unfortunately, these were released separately for $10 a piece, instead of in a nice 2-pack collection, but if they're only going to charge $10 for a PlayStation 1 game ported accurately to Steam, that's something I can certainly be happy with, as they're giving us a classic game at a very reasonable price. So failing a Legacy Collection, I could see Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 getting this same treatment, and I would be content to pay $10 a piece for each of the three. Though in the case of both Dino Crisis and Resident Evil, I hope for versions to come places other than Steam, just so as many people as possible can enjoy them. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.